good evening, and good afternoon, depending on where your time zones are. I am Daniel Sito from Sesameed Education. I am right now speaking from Singapore, and good evening to you all. Tonight's webinar, the topic is, allow me to turn on my screen sharing. Boarding school application calendar. And here I would like to add a fine note that it is about American boarding schools. So we do help families applying to other countries such as Canada, Great Britain, Switzerland, etc. Their application calendars would be slightly different. All right. So for tonight's sake, because we only have a short half an hour time window, we'll focus on American boarding school application calendar. A little bit background about myself. I am Daniel Sito. I have spent the bulk of my career in boarding schools counseling. I'm a boarding school specialist, helping families prepare and send their children to study at top boarding schools around the world. Tonight's outline, we will be looking first at the overall, what I call the pyramids of application. That would tell all of us about what boarding schools look for and how they assess their applicants. Next, we'll be going through a 12-month timeline as to what to do starting from July all the way to June of that application season. Last, if we do have time, we can go to Q&A, but more often than not, because it's only half an hour, we will welcome any questions from the audience to be sent over to us by email or by WhatsApp, and we'll be more than delighted to answer those questions in turn. So first, let's look at what we call the assessment and the application pyramids. The American boarding schools on the left side, they focus on students that are more than just strong in academics. So academics is important. That's the minimum requirement, right? That's like knocking at the door. That's the first gate. For those students that have academic or under control, they are looking into top 100 schools, top 100 American boarding schools. But if you're looking into something more selective, top 50, say, for example, they demand that students are not only strong in academics, they also be very well diversified and invested in extracurriculars. Now, if you are looking to even more selective schools like top 30 American boarding schools, they are looking into students who have demonstrated clear social abilities, including leadership. And if we're looking into the top 10, right, this is like the holy grail. Many parents are aiming at top 10, right? The top 10, they are also beyond academics, extracurricular, social. They're looking at personal depth and maturity. So these are the factors that all boarding school families or parents should be mindful of when they are here to steer, to help prepare their child for applying to American boarding schools. On the right-hand side, we have the application pyramid. So on the left side, we know what the schools are looking for, what type of qualities they're trying to assess. Now, on the right-hand side, this is really the mechanism. How are they doing that? All right. So at the bottom of the pyramid, they all look at the grades, right? Academics is reflected by grades and also test scores. So on the school side, we have the school grades. They're looking at the past 2.5 years of school results, transcripts. And then they're also looking into the most current standardized test scores. Usually it's at the same academic year of the application season. Next, they'll be looking into the extracurricular portfolio. They were looking into the laundry list of activities and extracurricular involvement achievements over the last 2.5 years, with more focus being placed on the most recent year, the current year. On top of the factual portfolios information, be it academic or extracurricular, they will be looking at references. They're looking at how others would view your child. So who are the others? Teachers and counselors, mostly from the school, and also parent statements. So how you would prepare and present your child. And on top, there's the self-advocacy. Here, we're talking about how the students would present themselves, and basically is how they should advocate for themselves. Why me? Why you should admit me? Why you should allow me to go into your community? Students will need to present themselves in writing as well as in conversation, interview. So these are the basic elements, application elements of students applying to American boarding schools. Now, let's look into a 12-month calendar. We start off with July. So when I say July, what is the context? If we're looking into sending our child to an American boarding school for 2026 September entry, then we trace back 14 months, and that will be July of 2025. So this, which is next month. So next month, July, will be the beginning of the official beginning of the application stage or application season for 2026 September entry. Again, this is only for American boarding schools. For, let's say, the British boarding schools, the calendar will start way earlier. Many British boarding schools will start the assessment process 3 years in advance, not 1 year in advance. But tonight, we're focusing on American boarding schools. So in July, what are we looking at? So first, July is the summertime, right? So we'll be looking at what the student is going to do for the summer activity. Here, this webinar is aimed to equip all the parents in the audience to be able to supervise your child and prepare your child for the boarding school applications. There will be a role for consultants to play. Consultants would make the process a lot smoother, a lot easier to handle from the viewpoint of the parents, and a lot more effective. But nonetheless, whether is using consultants or the parents doing DIY, do it yourself, is the same element. The calendar is the same. So during the summertime in July, we monitor and provide guidance on our child in terms of the summer activity. By now, we're in June, middle of June. So our child should already have the summer plans all figured out. If not, no sweat, come to us and we'll be delighted to help. But otherwise, your child should already have a plan of doing certain activity, doing certain things, be it in America or any other parts of the world or in your local city. Next, we need to start thinking about overall calendar planning. Specifically, there are some macro strategic elements that we have to address, and that will be to determine the interview timing and location. All right. Interview timing. You can start interview as early as the summertime in July. Schools starts interviewing. But you can also delay till all the way to January. So this July to January 7-month time frame is the interview horizon, is the interview period. All right. We have to determine when our child is going to be interviewed. In general, the general rule of thumb is do not allow our child to be interviewed or do not allow our child to get into a school interview until he or she is ready. Because interviews are only one shot. There's no take two. So if we do a suboptimal job, there's no turning back. And if we go back to the previous slide, interviews is the most important element of the entire pyramid. That's why it's at the top. It's the tip. It is the most strategic, decisive factor affecting whether your child will be admitted or not into a boarding school. So therefore, try not to do the interviews too early unless you feel strongly that your child is entirely ready. Location. Usually, schools would prefer the interviews to be in person because just like all human beings, we see a lot more about the candidate when we can see that person and feel that person, talk to that person like live, right, in front of us, not through a screen, in person. And so that it requires some sort of a planning. Are we going to travel to America? Are we going to bring our child to America to do the campus interview, to do the interview on campus? Or are we going to wait for the school officers to come to our hometown, let's say Singapore or Bangkok or Dubai, right? And do the interviews live in our home turf, in our city. These can all be arranged, but it needs to be sorted out and planned in advance. From the academics part, many international students will be required to take a TOEFL test of English as a foreign language. So usually summertime will be a good time for do the prepping. Extracurriculars, we usually would use July. We will encourage our parents to use July to start conducting an activity inventory or stock take with supportive photos and videos. So making sure we start, if our child is a swimmer, right, or is a soccer player, right, start going through the videos that we have been taking over the last year about how well our child performs in the soccer match, or in the swimming competition, or in the orchestra performance, or in the musical performance, whatever it is. Start doing those inventory stock take. Interviews. I cannot stress enough the importance of interview, and therefore do not allow your child to go into an interview unprepared. Always train your child for interviews. Parents, many of our parents are CEOs and business owners. I mean, obviously, you are very well versed in life, and you can certainly train your child in interview. Occasionally, or more often than not, some children, many children, they might not, prefer to be trained by their parents, right? And just the dynamics are a little different. And so therefore, many parents would outsource that training element to an experienced consultant. And so, people like us, we do training, we do interview training, and this is our strongest niche in the field. In terms of the application process, we should start off in July with creating a good old school list. What are the schools that we want to apply to? Now, here we require some research, all right? Some parents might know it all already. They have done all the research, while other parents might use summer as the starting point to do the research. Now, of course, you can, again, always rely on a consultant who will be able to understand your child, understand the family, and be able to recommend a list of boarding schools that would exactly fit your child's and your family's needs. Campus visit. I do encourage families not to enroll into a school until you have seen the school, right? Seeing is believing. And visiting schools during the summertime is a very convenient way, although not the most optimal way, because during the summer, the schools is officially closed. All you can see is the hardware infrastructure, beautiful grass, very nice buildings, impressive facilities. But you don't get to see the most important element of a boarding school, which is people, because the students are on vacation, Many of the teachers, most of the faculty members are also on vacation. That's the regret of visiting a boarding school during the summertime. But other than that, at least you get a feel of what it is like, the environment where your child is going to be living in for the next 4 years. So explore the fit. You can get a feel. West Coast, East Coast, right? North and South, uh, urban, suburban, countryside, all different fields. Initiate the relations with the school officers. Boarding schools are all about relationships, right? Cultivating relationship, not special relationship, cultivating good old healthy relationships. But do not do the interviews unless you feel that your child is absolutely ready. August, we just done with July. So August, there's another to-do list for August. For the summer activity, we should start doing a introspective review with our child. In August, our child, many of them will be done with the summer activity, usually 2, 3, 4 weeks long. They'll be back home. Parents, you should discuss with your child about the lessons learned, about the observations being made, and more important about how that particular summer activity has made a difference in a child's life. Not exactly what you did, but what it meant to you, what the experience meant to you, and more importantly, how you have grown through that experience. So that's a lot of introspection that parents should do with the child. Strategic positioning. Why you, right? Parents should help the child articulate. If we were to apply to a boarding school, why do you have to admit me and not the hundreds of other applicants beside me, right? Why me? Why you, right? Again, this is all an area that an experienced consultant can help. Experienced consultants send, like ourselves, we send, many students to these top boarding schools year after year. And so we have in our mental database a sense as to what each school takes in and why. We understand the match and we'll be able to help your child given his or her unique circumstances, how to craft this strategic position. Academic side, we need to finalize the course selection. Many schools, especially international schools, would open in around middle of August. So the first 2 weeks is really like any course change would take place in the first 2 weeks. So we need to finalize those courses. Bearing in mind that the current year school grades are very, very important. Remember, they need 2.5 years of track record. So the current year, which is the first half of this year, the coming few months are most important. Therefore, do not be too aggressive. An A in an easier course is much better than a B in a very aggressive honors course. So, of course, the higher the rigor, the better. But you need to remember that no matter what courses you take, you have to ace it. So that needs to be understood with the student, right? The heat is on, the pressure is on, stake is high. On the academic side, we also need to consider the test prep progress. You remember last month, right? July, we did the TOEFL prep. So this month, August, we did the TOEFL test. All right. At the same time, we also start preparing for SSAT. Extracurriculars. August is also time for us to start conducting fall-term planning. We need to plan for the entire extracurricular portfolio in the fall term. Now, in July, the previous month, we already did a stock take of the previous 2 years of extracurricular portfolio, right? And now in August, we plan ahead of what the extracurricular portfolio should continue to become over the coming 4 or 5 months. References. We need to start educating our child what the schools would ask teachers to write about the students. We need to inform our child. And many of those questions, they're open. we can see what the schools ask the teachers to fill out the questionnaire. And we need our child to understand that. Many children don't understand that. We need our students to understand that so that they would be more prepared in terms of knowing how to behave over the next couple of months, because at the end of that period, their teacher will be writing their recommendation. So therefore, it's very important for the student to understand what sort of behavior is being sought after, is being observed by the teachers who will be writing the recommendations. Personal statements. We should start. August is the month when the boarding schools would announce their personal statement topics. So we should start drafting the essays. The first and foremost is the most basic ones, which is the common application. We call it common app core essays. These are the mandatory essays that would go along with every common application. Interviews. We need to continue. We started the interview training in July. We need to continue interview training. Application. We started the school list in July. We now finalize the school list. And we need to fill out the inquiry forms. Inquiry forms are forms that every school would require from any applicant family. Before you fill out any application form, you need to fill out the inquiry form to get the family registered on the school's database so that you'll be on their radar screen. September now. On the academics, we need to start reviewing initial grades. As I said, it has to be all A's, or at least it's to be close to be all A's. If need be, we start engaging external tutoring. It's not something that I recommend, but if that's what it requires, then we still have to bite the bullet and do it. SSAT test prep. Last month in August, we talked about doing SSAT test prep. So in September, we will start doing our first SSAT test. So we recommend in general 3 SSAT tests. Test 1, test 2, test 3. September, November, January. All right. On extracurriculars, we should be looking into our child participating in additional activities and service roles. And we should be mindful to help our child start taking all the supportive photos and videos of their new activities and service roles. So previous month, we talked about the activity for planning, right? Now in September, our child should engage into those activities. References. We need to help our child to engage into good behavior inside the classroom and outside the classroom. Personal statements. We continue drafting the Common App core essay, and we start drafting Common App essay supplement. There's another set of supplements. These supplements are unique to specific schools. Not all the schools carry the same supplement. So on top of the core essay, which goes with the common application, different individual schools might call for additional essay supplement. So in September, we start drafting those as well. In general, you will see that for every type of essays, we have a 3-month time window. Starting the draft, continuing the draft, and finalizing the draft. Interviews continue the training, but we need to finish the training for those who will be interviewing in October, because right now it's September, right? There will be some students every year the wave will begin in October. Why? October, every international school has a fall break, October break, right? Some will be half a week, some will be 1 week long, some will even be more than a week long. So therefore, from a calendar planning point of view, it's most convenient because you don't have to take time off school. You can just go to America, do the interviews on campus, and come back and get ready for the school after the break. So there are some families who would prefer to take the child onto campus interview tour, doing interviews on campus over the October break. So if that's the case, September, is a critical month that they have to finish all individual training. Application side, we need to submit part one. Part one is the first part of the entire application that deals with biographical information, contact information, addresses, father's name, mother's name, all that stuff, plus the student's extracurricular portfolio up to that point. So we'll be writing down all the things, listing out all the activities that a student has been doing for the last 2.5 years up to this point. That's called part one. We have to now, because it's September, right? Boarding schools also open. We have to book the interview slot, be it on campus or in the hotels out here in Asia, or during Zoom online interviews. We have to book the interview slots. Book early because many families apply to boarding schools, and every year you'll hear some families who book too late, and they say, sorry, all the interview slots have been taken. We will consider your child's application without any interview. But guess what? What's going to happen? Almost 99, if not 100%, of those applications which don't have an interview conducted, it's not going to be successful. It's not going to be successful. So therefore, book the interview slot early. If we are planning to go to do the interview on campus, might as well also book the plane ticket and get the tourist visa, right? If the family doesn't have the tourist visa yet for campus interviews. On the school relations part, it is also time for parents to do the research on the school's Asia visit itineraries. All the boarding schools will publish their visit for their international travel itineraries. Here, because our audience is mainly in Asia, so I predominantly speak about Asia, but boarding schools representatives, they go around the world to recruit. And so we have to find out for the schools that we have finalized, the school is in August, right? What are their visit itineraries? And then we have to register for all their receptions and all the fairs that they will be participating. And we have to book the meeting appointment. So that's a lot of work. And I guess this is also a part of the attractive point for parents to hire consultants, because we do all the research upfront for all the families. So families, you don't have to do your individual research because we have it all covered every year. October now. All right, fast forward. We covered July, August, September, those 3 hot months. 3 more to go. October, we need to keep monitoring our child's school grades. We have to now look into something called graded essay. Graded essay are essays from the school work that schools would like to take a copy of what is being submitted and what is the feedback from the teachers with the comments. And so we have to understand what the schools are looking for so that we can prepare for it. We did the SSAT test 1 in September. So in October, we do more SSAT prep. We spend a lot of time preparing for SSAT.
Can you listen with me?
Hi, yes. Yes, hi, parents. Any questions? Okay, if not, I'll continue. On the extracurriculars, we will continue to help our child by monitoring their activities and service roles, continuing to build a photo and video portfolio for them. It will be a little bit too much to ask our child to do all that themselves. I mean, after all, they are 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. So it's a lot on them. So most of our families, the parents would do the hard work of building this photo and video portfolio for the child. References. Usually in October, international schools with a Parents' Day, right? This is the time when parents can speak to the child's teachers. This is the time when you can hear about how the teachers think about our child, all right? Guess what? we need to, next month in November, ask some of those teachers to write recommendations. So it's good to first to be able to hear from them what they think of our child's behavior so far in September and October. So decide which teacher we're going to ask for recommendations. There are some choices, there are some options, liberties, but there are also some requirements. English teacher, math teacher, you can't get away. You have to ask them. But many of the other teachers, you can choose. We also use October to start helping our parents draft their parent statements. So remember, references come from the teachers, but also coming from the parents as well. You have to start writing your recommendation for your own child. Personal statements. These are the statements that the child will need to write themselves. The student will need to write themselves. They need to, by now, it is the 3rd month of doing the Common App core essay. They need to wrap it up. It will be the 2nd month of them doing the Common App essay supplement. So they need to continue. And it will be the 1st month for them to draft the individual app essays. For interviews, again, continue with interview training. And for those who will be interviewing in November, especially who will be interviewing in November, especially those who are trying to interview in person with the school representatives out here in Asia, usually in the context of a hotel, like hotel cafe, hotel lobby, where the interviews will be conducted. Then for those students, they need to wrap up their training by October. Application. Collect past 2 years of school transcript. This is also October to start doing some admin work. You don't have to do it in October. You can do it in November as well. It's fine, but just to start collecting the past 2 years of school transcripts. School relations. October will be the time parents and families to start attending the receptions and fairs, school receptions and school fairs, to meet school officers and to start correspondence with the school. Again, the correspondence with the schools will take on 2 prongs. One is on the parents' front, and the other is on the student front. Which one is more important? The students' front, because at the end of the day, they are admitting your child. They are admitting the student into the community, into the school, not the parents. But it is important because the parents become part of the student's profile. All right. So what parents, your personality, your character is like, it does put some impact on the on how your child's profile would fare in front of the schools. November, academics, keep getting grades, making sure, prepare graded essay, and now do SSAT test number 2, as I mentioned. Extracurriculars, continue to monitor activities and surface roles, continue to build the photo and video portfolio. All right. This is ongoing. References. Now's the time to notify the teachers to write recommendations. And for parents, to continue drafting your parent statement. You don't get it right the first time, right? So you to write the draft and let it sit for a week or so, come back to it and think about it, and then you revise it. All right. Again, if you were to use a consultant, people like us will help you revise. We'll give you comment and feedback, and then you can take or not take or selectively consider taking our feedback and use that to revise your parent statements as well. For the child, they have to finalize the Common App essay supplement now, and they will continue drafting the individual app essays. Interviews, they will need to continue the interview training up to the point of the interviews. For those who will be interviewing in December, and that will be a great bunch, they will need to finish their training. For those in November, those who will be interviewing would likely be the ones, as I mentioned, who will be interviewing the school's representatives out here in Asia, in hotels. School relations, on that front, there will be more receptions to come. So starting October, November, these are 2 busy months for families to attend receptions and fairs. dress appropriately. For our clientels, we will offer orientation, we'll offer training for families on how to prepare themselves in front of receptions and fairs and before they meet every school officer. So you don't just randomly go in, you got to prepare yourself. But nonetheless, these are the work. You need to attend all the school reception, all the school fair, meet all the school representative. Every action that you take will be recorded and registered, and will be part of the overall evaluation later on in February. Keep corresponding with schools, very important, because boarding schools are about relationships. We want to see families that are strong in cultivating relationships. December, again, academics, nothing new, nothing special. Keep monitoring the grades, making sure it's straight A's. Again, now we have to select the graded essay, right? We have spent some time preparing for it. Now we have to select which graded essay we want to send forth to the school. More SSAT test prep. By now we should have collected the test score from the second test, and if need be, then we'll prepare for the third one. Usually we recommend doing all three and select the best one to submit. Extracurriculars, monitor activities and service role, finalizing the photo and video portfolio. Now we're in December, we need to wrap things up. References, confirm teachers have already initiated, if not completed, the recommendation process. Some teachers might have forgotten, so you got to knock on the doors to remind them. All right. It's also time to finalize our parent statements. On personal statements side by the student, December is the time to wrap things up, finalize all the individual essays. Usually we do it, over Christmas. So Christmas, don't plan to go on vacation. Plan on staying at home and wrapping up your individual essays. Again, on interviews, finish all the interview training by now. All junior boarding schools interview must be completed for those applying for junior boarding schools. The deadline is around middle of December. And for many senior boarding schools, the interviews are also being completed in December as well. Usually families would fly over to America after Thanksgiving to do their interviews, and would spend a week over there. In terms of application, for all junior boarding school applications, it all needs to be submitted within December. All right, that will include current year's school transcript plus previous year's school transcript. Submit SSAT test score. Submit latest portfolio additions. Submit parent statements. Submit personal statements. Everything, the whole thing, and of course, you have to pay the application fee, which is around $100 to $200 each. School relations, there will be some remaining schools who will be doing receptions in December, not a whole lot, but nonetheless, you have to attend all school receptions and fairs, meet all the school officers, and keep corresponding with the schools. This is the toughest 6 months. The hardest work are all done. In January, it's all wrapping up. We do one more test, SSAT test 3. Extracurricular, it's time to sign up for more activities for spring term. References, confirm that all the teachers have sent in the recommendations, right? Just ask them, please hurry up. Personal statements, if we didn't get to finish it by December, we got to wrap it up by January the 15th. That's the deadline. Interviews, if we have not yet completed all our senior boarding school interviews in December, we need to wrap it up in January. Some will be within January, some will be before mid-January. In terms of application, again, all senior boarding school apps must be submitted by January the 15th. Some schools with a slightly earlier date, some schools have slightly later date, but in general, Jan 15 is the magic number, is the magic date to remember. Again, attach the transcript, graded essay, SSAT test score, latest portfolio additions, parent statement, personal statements. School relations, don't forget, keep corresponding with the school. At least one correspondence per month. Got to keep the flow, making sure that the school officer does not forget who you are, right? Does not forget your child and your family. Keep corresponding with them. And results. For those who's applying for junior boarding schools, the results are out by January the 15th. Enrollment decision by end of Jan, 2 weeks, and we have to notify all the schools. February is a quiet month for the family, but not for the consultants. For the family, all you need to do is just to keep corresponding with the schools, updating the schools with the latest and greatest academic and extracurricular developments and all that. We'll be teaching our students how to do all that. For us, though, as consultants, this February will be the most intense month of the entire year. While all the families and students are pretty much resting, we are putting in firing all our cylinder, all our engines to advocate for our students. So this is the intense advocacy period where consultants, I would say senior consultants, would be liaising and communicating with the deans of enrollment, directors of admissions alike to advocate for the case of the family of the student. So this is the primary difference of whether or not using a consultant or not, right? Parents, you can train your child in interviews. Parents, you can coach your child in terms of strategic positioning. You can guide your child in terms of personal statement writing. You can prepare your child even in TOEFL or SSAT. But there's one thing you cannot do, and that you don't communicate directly with the admission directors. They won't communicate with you. They won't talk to you. All right. I mean, you communicate with them as an applicant family, but they will not tell you how your child is faring. All right. And your advocacy is limited to what you can put on your parent statements. So this is the time when we consultants would act on behalf of our clients and to advocate for every student in front of the school. March, results will be out. Senior boarding school results will be out on March 10, enrollment decision by April 10. There are things to do in March for the family, book the revisit dates and arrange the logistics. Usually it will take place for the 2 weeks before April 10, which is the last week of March and the first week of April. April, finalized decision by April 10, no, by all the schools. Post-enrollment now, you got to pay the deposit. Schools would issue I-20. With that, then you can apply for a foreign student visa, and you have to start all the health forms that are required by the schools. May, the visa application will likely drag on for a number of weeks, and so you'll likely still be applying for the visa in May. Course selection forms will be in, and along with that, maybe placement tests as well, especially for math or foreign language, etc. Some schools will also allow extracurricular selection to be done also in May, while others might be done when the school opens in the fall. And you'll also be filling out some sort of roommate selection, your wish list for a roommate doing that pairing. June, more post-enrollment. The family have to pay the tuition balance. The school will issue a summer reading list. So yes, there will be homework to do before school begins for the student. Pre-arrival purchase list. There are a number of items that you need to start stocking up, buying before you send your child to the school. So that can begin in June and all the way to July. And also the school would arrange gatherings with fellow current families. And you can start doing the mingling and networking with other current families of the school that you have chosen to enroll your child in. And that would give you a little bit more hints and tips as to how to best prepare your child for school year beginning. And last but not least, planning all over again for your child's fall term in the beginning of his boarding school career. Again, getting into the boarding school is only step one. Doing well in the boarding school is the final end game. So don't just stop at getting your child into a boarding school. June is also the time, like right now, is also the time for family to start thinking, how do I help my child ace their first year in the boarding schools? So that is all I've prepared for this evening for the webinar. I know it's a lot of information. Um, uh, I welcome any family that might have any questions to raise. Talk to us, send a WhatsApp to us, as well email us. We have there are many ways to reach over us. If you have any questions, let us know, and we'll be more than delighted to schedule a one-on-one meeting to address your family's specific questions and concerns. I am looking at my clock. Is long and behold, I talk a little too slowly. I had prepared this to be more of a 30-minute a webinar. I ended up taking more like 45. So I do apologize for taking a little bit longer than what I should. I hope the families out there have found this webinar to be informative, hopefully helpful as well. And again, if you need any further help in terms of your child's boarding school application process, you need anyone to discuss about any thoughts of yours, feel free to reach out to us at Sesameed. Again, I am Daniel Cito, and I look forward to meeting many of you over the course of the summer. And I wish every student a great summer ahead, a meaningful summer engagement ahead. And eventually, I wish all of you a great boarding school to go into, a school that would provide the best fit for your child's needs. Thank you. Thank you very much. And good evening. This is the end of our webinar for tonight.